Hi everyone, welcome back to Caitlyn's Corner. Today I am going to be starting the process of building out my new raised garden beds. So the plan is to take this bed here that I am sitting in and dig it down about 2 inches so that the surface of the dirt is about 2 inches below the concrete of the driveway. So then what I'm going to do is just grade out the bed so it has a slight slope down towards the driveway, so any water will slope away from the house and the foundation of the house. After that, then I'm going to place all of the pieces of the raised bed. We're going to make sure that it itself is level. So let's get to work on digging this out so we can start the project of placing all of our pieces for the raised bed. Alrighty, so as far as pieces go, I have 4 of these concrete blocks. I have rebar pieces that will go down into the center of this hole. They are about, I think I got them 24 inches long, maybe 18 inches, I can't remember. And then I have 2 pieces here of 2.5 foot board and 2 pieces of 60-inch board. And they fit in place just like so. Right, so I am going to get to work on placing each of these boards. So first things first here, I put the concrete blocks towards the wall in first, and then laid down the 60-inch piece of redwood. By the way, these are not pressure treated. I didn't want that chemical process in the wood and then leaching into the soil of the raised beds, because I plan on doing everything organic so that I know exactly what's going into my food, and that it is all just really safe and really healthy for me and my family. Next, I placed the front concrete blocks and determined that they were a little bit too close to the driveway, so I ended up pushing the concrete blocks in the back towards the wall, a little bit closer towards the wall. They are now about 9.5 inches or so away from the wall, and the front blocks are about 10 to 12 inches away from the concrete. So after I got everything in place where I wanted it to be, then I worked on leveling out each of the boards of wood. This was a pretty long process because I wasn't using any sort of aggregate base or anything like that, and I did so intentionally because I wanted to make these as kind of temporary as possible. I didn't want to put too much in the way of infrastructure into these because I'm not sure that I'm going to keep them forever, but I wanted something for this year that was inexpensive and something that was really easily accessible for everybody to do. Next, I moved right along to getting things out of the way and digging out the dirt in the area of our 9-foot by 3-foot bed. As soon as that bed was finished being leveled out and made a little bit sunken in, I started placing my blocks for this raised bed. First, just like the last bed, I measured out 9.5 inches from the wall and placed my blocks there first and made sure that they were level. This bed is 9 feet long by 3 feet deep. So instead of opting for 4 pieces of cinder block and 4 pieces of wood, this bed, to ensure its stability, has 6 concrete blocks and 6 pieces of wood. This bed was a little bit harder to get the concrete blocks level. It's generally a little bit more undulaty because of the ponytail palm that is to my right, and then on the left-hand side of the bed it slopes down. So it took me a little bit to get everything situated. And of course, my little shadow Miko had to follow me around while I completed this project. What's that saying about behind every strong, independent woman, there's a dog following her everywhere? Well, that's Miko. Plus, I think secretly he longs to be famous, so he just had to get some screen time in. Right here shows exactly what I mean by the left-hand side of this bed sinking down a bit. I had to really work the soil to get it to where that left-hand side was perfectly level. After both beds were finished, I decided to put down a layer of mulch. I did this both in the bed and in the regular planting area. The regular planting area, I put about 2 inches of mulch, whereas the raised beds, I put just a slight bit and worked it into the soil as a bit of an amendment. After I finished up with the mulch, I took a quick break to go grab some bagged raised bed mix. You think I got enough? After a quick break of grabbing a few things that I needed, like the raised bed mix, and having a little lunch break with a yummy sandwich, it was time to start back in on the beds. I went in with a brown stain in the color Cordovan leather. I chose this because the downspouts on the house are about that same color, and so I wanted it to kind of blend in with those, as well as potentially blending in a little bit with the dirt so it wasn't such a stark contrast. So as you can see, I used a roller to stain the wood boards, and then I went in with a paintbrush on the cinder blocks to ensure the stain would get all the way into each of the little nooks and crannies. It was finally time to add our raised bed mix. So to the 5-foot by 3-foot bed, I added 3 of the Kellogg brand raised bed and potting mix bags. These bags are 2 cubic feet apiece for a total of 6 cubic feet. And to our 9-foot bed, I added 5 of these bags and spread them out. So a total of 10 cubic feet. So the final piece of our raised beds are these 4 PVC pipes. Each pipe is 10 feet long, and I spray painted them with a black texture spray paint to give the illusion of wrought iron. Right near these beds is a couple of different iron fences, so I wanted to give a nod to those, as well as have structure to grow some things on. So here you can see that our raised beds have been completed, including the installation of the arches. Now let's talk how much these cost to build and my design. So now that you have seen the beds completed, let's talk a little bit about cost. So the intention of this project was for it to be a temporary space where we could grow vegetables and fruits in confined space with soil, really good soil, that we know exactly what we're putting in it, because the soil that I have is really compact clay soil. So frankly, not many vegetables will do well, even tomatoes, but especially things like radishes, onions, carrots. All of that would do absolutely horribly in the soil that I have. So building up these raised beds and having raised bed mix, good organic, rich soil in these is going to make for much better production. So that's part one of this. So we are into this project for the total of the concrete blocks, the rebar, the wood, the PVC pipe, the stain, and the spray paint. So let's go over each of these costs. So here is our cost breakdown. First, our wall blocks, 10 at $3.88 each. Our 2 by 6 by 8 redwood, 2 at $27.86 each. 2 by 6 by 10 redwood, 2 at $34.58 each. 24-inch rebar, 10 at $3.87 each. 10-foot PVC pipe, 4 at $4.47 each. 1 quart of solid stain, 1 at $23.98. Black spray paint, 1 can at $5.98. And the bagged raised bed soil, 8 at $9.98 each. All of this comes to a grand total of $329.70. Overall, I feel like this is a very cost-effective way to get raised beds in your garden. So many raised beds that you can get would cost way more than this, and by doing it this way, you are getting the exact dimensions that you want, which means that you are optimizing your space even more. So as I use these throughout this growing season, I will absolutely keep following up with you on things that I like and don't like about these, and things that I learn along the way. I am so excited to get these planted up, which will be happening very soon, so stay tuned. So now that we've talked cost, let's get into the artistic part, the design. So this entire space is going to be utilized for both cut flower production and vegetable production. I plan on utilizing in-ground planting, planting in the raised beds, vertical growing. I plan on also using terracotta pots and a green stock vertical garden. So you can see all of the ways that you can maximize your space and maximize your money. So now let's go section by section, and I will show you exactly what my plans are for each piece. So let's start at the very far planter here, closest to the backyard. And it's not shown here in this photograph, but I have a 7-tier greenstock vertical garden that is on the right-hand side here of this bed on the concrete. And I plan on planting that up in a herbal garden, medicinal garden type capacity. So think things like calendula in terms of edible flowers and violas. Think basil and thyme and oregano and maybe some shiso. All of that kind of stuff will be planted up in that greenstock vertical garden. So let's talk the structure in this space. So the first thing that you see here, or that really catches my eye, is this arbor slash trellis that I have here. Now it's probably not going to be painted black, but I have it black just so that it stands out. My plan is to do a white vinyl post um, for each of these 4 posts, and then we'll do like a little pergola situation across the top. Now, the purpose of this structure is to hold our grapevines. And I have 2 different grapevines. I have the Cabernet Sauvignon and I have a Princess grape. And both of those are going to go in the first 2 sections of this trellis on wire. And that's the gray is that you see. I have a third spot open to either put another grape in the future or something else. But for this year, I'm probably going to use it for potentially cucumber or some sort of other vining plant. The next pieces of structure that are in this planter area are the 3 18-inch rolled rim terracotta pots. As you can see, I have 1 right now. I need to purchase 2 more. And then we have our really large terracotta pot that is housing our yuzu lemon. And right now it doesn't have any fruit on it, so I drew in a few lemons on that. But in our 18-inch rolled rim pots, we have a fall gold raspberry is what is on the far right. It is underplanted with seascape strawberries. Then next to that, I plan on purchasing or potentially propagating a Big Daddy blackberry. There is someone in my Master Gardener program that has the Big Daddy blackberry in their garden, and they swear by it. They think that it is the most vigorous plant with giant sweet berries on it. So maybe I might be able to get my hands on a propagation of theirs, or I might just purchase one myself. But either way, I am very excited about this because I love blackberries. It is also underplanted with seascape strawberries. So the last plant in our last 18-inch terracotta pot is one of our tomatoes that I purchased at Tomato Mania. It is the Rebel Starfighter Prime, a great Star Wars name, big Star Wars family, so I had to get it. It's also a collector's item amongst tomato growers, which I thought was really fascinating. So below all of these containers, there will be flowers planted in ground to maximize our space and utilize it for the cut flower portion of our garden. I don't necessarily have exactly what flowers I'm going to be planting in this space, but I do know in general amongst the whole bed, I will have things like snapdragons and stock, delphinium, foxglove, straw flower, maybe some status, that kind of stuff. So we'll plant some of those things in this area. So here we have our 5 foot by 3 foot bed. And in this bed, I have quite a number of things going in here to plant. So the first thing that you'll notice is on our little hoop trellises, I have a few different varieties of sweet pea. And I plan on planting those in the ground, not in the raised bed, on the outer corners of the bed, and then just training them to go up and over those hoops. It will be so pretty. I have a few different varieties from Floret that I got, and that is what is going to be going on these hoops and the hoops in the other bed. Now, I am planning a layering system. So the first layer that you see here, those little green blobs, are 6 Butter Crunch lettuce. And I just love the way that lettuce looks as kind of that front layer in a vegetable garden. I have done this multiple times, both with lettuce and with cabbage. And so in this bed, we're doing the lettuce here. Then right behind it, I have some rainbow beets that will go in, and you can kind of see those little dots that are purple and orange and red. That's the rainbow beets. Right behind it is a row of carrots, and I actually bought rainbow carrots as well, but for the purposes of this drawing, I made them all orange so that it was really clear to see, or pretty clear to see, what they are. So that is what is the next layer. Then you'll see some pink and purple and orange dots, and that is going to be some companion planting, things like alyssum predominantly. And when I actually plant up this bed, I'm going to go into the benefits of companion planting. So we'll talk about all of that. You will see front and center there, or more like back and center actually, is a tomato. This is the Goldfinch variety. Again, another one that I got at Tomato Mania, and I'll go more into the details of each of these plants when we plant them. So stick around for that video coming soon. On either side of the tomato, I have a jalapeno and a serrano. And then just in front of that are a couple bunches of kale. Now, the very, very front of the bed that you see spilling over on the two front sides with the orange flowers and kind of green vining are going to be nasturtiums. And I have so many nasturtium seeds, so I'm going to be planting those up in the beds again as a companion plant, and probably in our little medicinal herb tower garden and just here and there because they are pretty. So in the in-ground portion of this area, it will once again be cut flowers. Definitely some dahlias, definitely some sunflowers kind of away from the window. Like I mentioned, snapdragon, stock, delphinium, foxglove, really just anything beautiful that I can create a cut flower arrangement with, or a dried flower arrangement with, or some sort of dried flower project. Anything to get creative with florals, that's what's going around the edges. And now for our last raised bed area. So this one here, let's start with the ponytail palm and work our way over. So the ponytail palm on the right side is staying, and I'm going to kind of use it in a sense like the Three Sisters method, where you would use corn to grow peas or beans up, but instead I'm going to use this ponytail palm. Use what you got, do some vertical gardening. So that is going to be where I grow, like I said, some little marvel peas. They're going to grow up that. That is my plan. And then again on our hoops, I am going to grow the floret sweet pea varieties that I have, and we'll go again from front of the bed to the back of the bed. So again, in the front, on either corner and in the center, I have some nasturtiums in there because, like I said, they're pretty, they're a great companion plant, and I have a ton of seed that I need to use. Then right behind that, instead of lettuce, in this bed, we are doing Savoy cabbage. And I cook with cabbage so much. I love it in stir fries. I really like to make meatballs and then cook just cabbage with some like salt and pepper and garlic. And I think that that tastes really good. So that is our next layer back. Then after that, we have a layer of candy onions, because candy onions are absolutely delicious. I have grown them before. They are my favorite type of sweet onion by far. They grow huge. I have grown them to where they're about 3+ pounds a piece. They're like the size of softballs. They're amazing, absolutely the best. So I highly recommend growing candy onions. And then again, right behind the onions are going to be our rainbow carrots, just like in the last bed, because the starts that I bought have a ton of carrots in them. So we are for sure going to be able to fill up both beds with some yummy carrots. And it's funny that I say yummy carrots because I'm not really a carrot person, or I haven't really been a carrot person, but I found a roasted carrot recipe that I adore. It is so tasty. I will absolutely share that with you guys once we have some carrots to cook with, because it made me actually like carrots. So that is why we're growing these, is so that I can make that recipe. And then behind our carrots, like in the last bed, I have some kale on either end of the bed. Those are those kind of like tealishy squiggles that you see. Right in the center is going to be a red bell pepper, because I eat red bell pepper a lot. Again, stir fries, cooking up fajitas, eating them raw with a little bit of ranch or onion dip. They're just yummy. So have to grow some of those. And then finally, in the back of the bed, we are going to try out the espalier method with 2 tomatoes. So I've got the Atlas tomato is the red one on the left, and then sweet tangerine is on the right. Sweet tangerine is actually a determinate tomato, so we'll see if we really even need to espalier it. It might be perfectly fine in the bed. Atlas is an indeterminate, and it is a hybrid, so it is going to be a ultra vigorous grower. And I want to make sure that I have room in the front of the bed to be able to grow all of these vegetables. So I'm going to attempt the espalier method that I learned from another master gardener in my program, and she does this with her tomatoes every year. So I'm going to try that out with this type this year. So there you have it. There are my new raised beds. I've shown you how to build them. I've shown you what it cost to make them, and I have walked you through my design for the space. I am so excited for this upcoming season and getting all of these plants in the ground and in these raised beds. It is going to be beautiful and productive. I hope you found this video informative and inspirational. My goal is to show you that you can grow all of the fruits, vegetables, and flowers that you want to create both a beautiful and productive space, regardless of the amount that you have of it. So let's get planting. I will see you in the next video.